things you need a stitch counter, a stitch marker, mine's just a little kitty. We're going to need a darning needle to weave in our ends. I'm going to be using this 4-point hook and a pair of scissors to cut our threads with, and our yarn, of course. So we're going to need some brown yarn. I'm just using this Impeccable in the shade Chocolate. I'm using also this other scrap yarn that I have, Impeccable in the shade Fern. And last but not least, this lovely orange. And it's Red Heart Soft, and what shade is it in? Tangerine. Okay, so let's begin. This is my first video filming, so forgive me, but we're gonna start off with magic ring. So how I like to make mine, sorry, I apologize, I'm left-handed, so you're probably gonna have to switch it over. So we're going to cross it behind our fingers like that, make an X, and I like to just pinch this with my thumb here. So we're going to take our 4mm hook, I'm going to slip it underneath there, we're going to hook this side here and turn it, and then I turn my fingers over and we make a slip knot there. So then I like to just untangle that loose thread. I'm just going to pull out some string there. Okay, so I'll show you guys one more time, just a little bit quicker. So we're going to make a magic ring like that. We're just going to untangle that, and we're going to put 8 single crochets inside of our ring. So we've got 1, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and one last one for 8. So we're just going to give this little tail a pull here and tighten our circle right up. So for our next round, we're going to increase into every stitch. So I like to work the tail into the first few stitches I work with, just because it's gonna make it secure and make sure that this little circle here isn't going to work its way open like that most of the time. So I'm going to increase into every stitch, making sure that I keep the little tail on top as well, because we're working under that. And of course this first stitch wants to be a nuisance, so pull it up through, and we're going to do a first single crochet. And I'm actually going to pause now and mark my first stitch because I love to lose my place. So into the same stitch that we just made that first single crochet, we're going to make one more, and we're going to do that all the same way throughout the whole thing. So we're going to put 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and so on. So we've got 4 so far, 5 and 6, and then after 6 stitches I usually just like to put that tail behind, and we can forget about that for now. So there's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 16 stitches. I'm going to single crochet in this first stitch here. And don't forget to put back your stitch marker. And then after that first stitch, we're going to increase in our second stitch. And then just repeat that pattern. So we're going to go 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then we increase in the second stitch, and so on. Okay, so after you get to the end of this row, you should have 24 stitches. So first row we had 8, second row we had 16, and now you should be ending with one last increase here for a total of 24 stitches. So along the way, make sure that you're keeping track on your stitch counter here, or your row counter, whatever you like to call it. So we just finished our third row, so we're working on our fourth row now. So we're going to single crochet into our next 2 stitches, and don't forget to mark your first stitch. And then so we're going to do 2 singles, and then we're going to increase in the next one, and then we're going to repeat that pattern. So 2 singles, 1 and 2, and an increase in the next, and then 1 and 2, and an increase. So we got increase here, so this is going to be another increase, and then we've got 1 and 2, so then we increase again, okay. So that is row 4. Row 5, we're going to single in 3 stitches and then do our increase. So if you can kind of guess how this is going to go along, we're pretty much just going to go for another row after this of increases, and then we're going to do a bunch of single crochets. So we're going to single crochet for 3 stitches. There's the third, and then we're going to place our increase in that 4th stitch. Perfect. So you should have had 32 stitches from that last row, and after our 5th row here, we are going to be up to 40 stitches. So we're getting there. And increase. Oops. Oops, we should have increased in that last stitch. That's why it's always good to check back the work you've done, just in case. So increase. Stitch is going to be another increase. Whew. So we should have 40 stitches, and we're on to row 6 now. Okay, so we're on to row 6 now, so we're going to do 4 single crochets and then an increase. Come on, get in there, you. There's 4, and then we're increasing here. Perfect. Another 4. We're going to do our increase. 4 more. Okay, so from row 7 to row 10, we are going to single crochet in each stitch around, and it's going to be a total of 48 stitches. So 1, 2, and we're not going to be doing any increases. It's just strictly single crochets. Okay, so we're coming up to the end of our 10th row here. So that is the end of our 3 straight rows of just single crochet. So for row 11, we are now going to start our decreasing. So we are going to work for 4 stitches, and then we're going to put 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, which will be a decrease. So we're going to go 1 and 2, and go 3, 4. So we go into the 5th stitch, we're going to pull up a loop, then we're going to go back into that 6th stitch there, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3, and that is 2 single crochets together. So you should have 5 stitches there in a total. So we're going to do 4 more regular single crochets. And then 2 together. And you're going to repeat that to the end. Oops. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and all through 3. And you can see it's starting to form our little pumpkin. And that little string is on the inside because we flipped it. Okay, and there's our row 11. So for row 12, we're going to single crochet in 3 stitches and then decrease. As you can see, we're kind of copying the same thing as we did for our increases, except we are decreasing now. So there's our 3, and then we're going to make our decrease. There we go. 3 more. Oops. Decrease. Here's row 12. Row 13, we're going to single crochet in 2 stitches and then decrease. So there's our 2. We're going to do our decrease now. Perfect. And repeat. Okay, row 13 done. Row 14, we're going to single in 1 and decrease in the next. Here was our row 14. So row 15, we are going to just be straight decreasing in every stitch. There we go. And that's our 15th row. So we're actually going to chain 1 and we're going to pull quite a bit out because we're going to be using this to section our little pieces of pumpkin. So we can just pull our hook, pull that tight, take this guy off, and we can start on our stem. So for our stem, we're going to start it off the same way. I'm going to make a magic ring. Come on. Here we go. Just untangle our end, and we're going to put 8 single crochets into our ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there is 8. So we're going to pull that tight. So that's our first round. So from rounds 2 to 4, we're just going to single crochet in each one of the stitches. So we're going to have 8 stitches. Making sure to work your little tail in again. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, stitch that tail now. 8. That's row 2. So we're gonna flip this inside out and go around again. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's 8. So there's row 3, and we're gonna do one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're gonna do one more single crochet, and you don't need that much brown, so we're just gonna snip a tail and pull through. And there is our little stem. Next up we have our vine, and it is really easy, so we're just gonna make a slip knot. We're going to chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then we're going to single crochet into the second chain to the end. And that is my dog's howling. That is all there is to the chain. So once we get to the end, we're gonna chain 1 and snip, and then essentially you just give her a twist, and then she stays all twisted up like that. Okay, now on to putting our pumpkin together. Forgot to mention, you're gonna need a big old bag of POLYFILL or whatever stuffing you're gonna want to use. But yeah, so we're gonna take our pumpkin, and before we stitch it up, obviously we need to put our filling in. So just a little bit by little bit, you're going to poke it in the hole. I got small fingers, so this works for me. Sometimes I'll use the end of my crochet hook. I mean, the bag comes with this chopstick. You can, just whatever works for you. I find smaller pieces go in easiest, obviously, but it also makes for a nicer stuffed object if you don't just put a giant chunk in there at once. So it takes more than you think, because you don't want it to be all deflated, right? But you also don't want to put too much in to the point where you're seeing it through the holes and it's stretching the holes out. So it's a fine line, but fun game to figure out on your own. Just gonna put a little bit more in and call it good. Just a bit more. All right, that guy goes away. So once our stuffing's in there, we're gonna take our darning needle, just thread the end of the string through. So this is how I like to close up the end of my pumpkin. So I go through our first like stitch facing towards you, I guess closest towards you. And we're just gonna go all the way around our pumpkin like that. And then in the end, you can pull it taut. Sorry, the word is taut. Ah, get out of there. So we got a few more to do. And then, so now we pull. And I like to just pull while pushing my thumb down as well. It just seals it up real nice. So then I go through both sides of our hole here. And I'm just gonna go back and forth a few times to seal our little booty hole up. Okay, and then how I like to end it is I just poke it in the end and I come up through another hole. However, we're not ending it like usual. Fuck. Oh no, what have I done? What have I done? Sweet fuck. Okay, so we're gonna poke it through the bottom hole, and then we're going to bring it up right through the top of that hole. And we're just gonna pull all our string through, aren't we? So stupid. Now it's stuck. How'd this happen? Okay, let's try this again. So we're gonna go in through the bottom, up through the top little hole here. And now I like to go over twice on each segment, but it's up to you. So I just kind of wrap that underneath and then I go up through the same hole. Make sure that that segment is pulled tight, and then I'm gonna go over the next half here. And you're gonna do that for the whole pumpkin. You wanna make 8 segments. If you do it tight enough, you don't have to go over twice. Just once should be enough. Just make sure that you're pulling it tight. Okay, and that last segment there, I'm going to just go underneath here and pull my hook through, just so for whatever reason the segments won't loosen up at all. So we're just gonna make a little knot, and then we're gonna come out of another side and just give it a good old snip. There we go. So that's the ugly bottom of our pumpkin, and this is the top. So it's kind of coming together now. It's looking cute, hey? Get rid of this guy. And next we're gonna bring in our stem. So we're gonna poke that string in, and we're gonna get a little tiny bit of stuffing. Now you don't need a whole lot. You're just gonna poke that right in there. just a little bit. Same rules apply for the pumpkin because you don't want to see your stuffing through. I'm going to take our darning needle, thread the end. Okay, just place it on top of our pumpkin wherever you want it. And usually I go through the outside rung and then I just come up. So outside rung, and then I come up through whatever stitch I'm able to there. And you'll kind of, sorry, it's hard to explain for that first one, but as you watch, you'll see how I do it. So just outside rung and then up and out through one of the stitches. So perfect. And then you just go along until your whole stem is tamped down. Squeaky squeak. A little bit of stuffing coming up there, but it shouldn't show because we're probably going to put our vine there. So this is our last stitch. We go in and out. Perfect. And then I'm actually just going to come out through our stem, and we're going to do the same thing as we did with the pumpkin. Just give it a snip, and we'll just tuck that in and get rid of that. Now we're on to our vine. So I actually thread both ends of our vine. I'm going to do one first. So do one side first. I'm just going to come in and out that. And then we're going to do the other side of our stem, which is the same thing. I'm just going to go under and up through our little stem there. And oh, our needle is giving us some trouble. She's a thick bitch. There we go. Perfect. So this got flipped. So we're gonna pull both of our strings tight and we're gonna give it a bit of a tie. I like to tie it twice just so I know it's secure. And then snip the little nipples off. And then you can take the end of your needle and tuck them into the pumpkin, and we're going to take our vine and give it a curl. And there you have your finished pumpkin. Pretty cute.